Ninths, thirteenths, fourths, minor thirds. Today we're going to talk about musical intervals, what they are, and how to describe them. Music with Mike. Hey everyone, my name's Mike Hilbun and welcome back to another video. Now I've had a couple viewers contact me with questions about intervals, so I want to make a brief video going a little bit more in depth about intervals and explain the overall concept behind how they're named, and maybe even how to play a couple of these intervals on the guitar. So when you're talking about intervals, there's really just two parts to it. There's the interval itself, which you count in numbers, so like seconds, thirds, fourths, fifths. That's by far the easiest part of it. All you have to do is count up or down the alphabet. Now I should mention that it is a little weird the way we count intervals. When we're counting intervals, we're going to use the type of counting that includes the first number in a set. So for instance, from C to F is not the interval of a third, C, D, E, F. It's actually the interval of a fourth, C, D, E, F. You got to include the letter C in your count. This works regardless of whether you're counting up or down, even if there's accidentals in the equation. So any type of A to any type of C is still a third. Now that's great and all, but it's not very specific. You know that 3 letter names apart is a third, but we still need to narrow things down. The other part when naming an interval helps specify exactly how far apart the two pitches are. And that's the quality of the interval. By quality, I mean major or minor. So like a major third versus a minor third, stuff like that. So what I want to do now is look at 4 of the smallest intervals possible, and they just so happen to be the most common intervals you'll find too. Apart from a unison, which is literally just the same note played twice, the smallest interval we have are seconds, which I go over in this video about scales. So we have major seconds and minor seconds. The smaller of the two is minor seconds. A minor second is the smallest interval that we have possible. It's the distance of 1 fret on the guitar or 1 key on the piano. A major second is 2 half steps. It's the distance of 2 frets on the guitar or 2 frets on the piano. So between A natural and B natural are 2 half steps, so we're gonna call that a major second. From A natural to B flat, we only have 1 half step, so that's gonna be a minor second. All right, cool, so that just about does it for seconds. What's the next possible interval we could talk about? The next largest interval is thirds, which are essential for you to understand how to build chords. So we know that any kind of A to any kind of C is a third, but now we have to narrow things down. So as you might have guessed from when we were talking about seconds, minor intervals are smaller than major intervals. So the smaller of the 2 thirds would be a minor third. A minor third would be a distance of 3 half steps / keys / frets. It would look like this on the guitar, but you could also play it across 2 strings and it would look like this. Major intervals are always 1 half step larger than their minor counterparts. So a major third would be 4 half steps / keys / frets. It would look like this on the guitar, which is just about the limit for how much most people can stretch their fingers. So here's how you play it across 2 separate strings. So A natural to C natural would be a minor third. So a major third would be A natural to C sharp. A flat to C natural would be another major third. A flat to C flat would be a minor third. I know nobody ever says C flat. However, if you understand your intervals and you hear somebody say A to B, in your head you're going to be thinking it's some kind of second. So even though it's weird to say C flat, remember that thirds are 3 letter names up. So yeah, it's a little bit nitpicky to insist you call it a C flat rather than a B natural, but hey, I didn't invent the system. Okay, so that does it for seconds and thirds, but what about fourths, fifths, sixths, sevenths, and all the other intervals out there? Well, this would be a really boring video if I went through and described every single possible interval, not to mention a very long video as well. Instead, since we've gone over the concept about how to name intervals and now that you guys have a good grasp on what that is, I put together a PDF which lists every possible interval within an octave. If you're interested, you can find a link to download that on my website in the description box below. So the very last thing I want to discuss is ninths, 11ths, and 13ths. Briefly put, they're the same thing as seconds, fourths, and sixths, just over an octave. So think about it, if an octave is the same note as the one you're starting with, except higher or lower, then the note above that, but an octave up, is a ninth. So from C to D is a second, but from C to a D, an octave above that C, is a ninth. Rinse and repeat with 4ths and 11ths, 6ths and 13ths. It's as simple as that, and really just one of those things you end up memorizing. Well, I hope today's video answered all your questions about intervals. Let me know if you guys have any questions you'd like me to address in a future video. Today's topic was actually submitted by one of my viewers, so don't be afraid to leave a comment down below. If you liked today's video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel for more videos, not just about theory, but about guitar and music in general. That's all for now. I'm Mike Hilbun. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.